Now we're ready to install your new graphic. So the first thing you're going to do is take 4 pieces of tape and just put them in the corners by the edge of your case. Then we're going to measure it to make sure that we've got your graphic centered properly. So use your measuring tape or a straight rule. You want to make sure that you've got equal space on all 4 corners before you tape it down. Tape one corner down first, then you're going to go and measure the opposite corner, the other side. And tape that corner down. Your other 2 measurements should be identical, so you should be able to just tape the entire thing down. So now that it's taped, if you have clamps, vice clamps, great. If not, just reinforce your graphic with tape. If you purchased just a face graphic, you're not going to have this extra bleed here. What I suggest you do then is use a piece of tape like this, roll it into a loop, and then stick it to the underside of the case on all 4 corners, just like we did here, but in reverse. If you don't have clamps, tape the living crap out of each edge. So this will be your finish edge. You want to make sure to get that stuck down so that your graphic won't move. Because I've got clamps, I'm going to use them. You don't need them as long as you've taped it up really good. This helps me keep the case in position so it doesn't move, and it also keeps the graphic in position so it doesn't move. Then we're going to come over to this end. You're going to take your tape off. Now you're going to fold back your graphic maybe about a foot, no more than that. And you're going to peel the backing off the graphic, not the graphic off the backing. Right? So keep your graphic flush with the surface. Peel off your backing. Now you're going to trim this off with your utility knife. Make sure not to cut through your case, so hold it up a bit. Doesn't have to be a straight line. The vinyl's not going to stick to your backing. Once you've done that, just hold your graphic up by the corners. This is going to be trimmed off anyways. And lightly fold it back over onto the case. Make sure that your hands are clean doing this. Sorry, I should have said that before, but wipe them down with isopropyl alcohol before you touch the film. If you have any oils on your fingers and you touch the adhesive side, it won't stick to the case. So make sure your hands are clean. Now we're going to take our squeegee and we're going to start roughly where we peeled the backing off, right? So you're just going to lightly push the graphic down over that lip. You're not using a whole lot of pressure, and you make sure that your squeegee is at like a 30-degree angle. Don't go up like this. Don't have it flush down. Roughly 30 degrees. And if you can see whites in your knuckles, you're pressing too hard. So all you want is a little bit of pressure. Push it down, overlapping your strokes approximately 2 inches at a time. All you're doing is tacking your graphic in lightly. The graphic film won't stick right away because it is a control tack adhesive. Just push it into the edge of the binding. Okay, now once we've done that, we're going to turn the case around and we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Now we remove the tape off the other side. So all we're going to do is repeat this step. You're going to fold the graphic over onto itself. Now you're going to pick up that edge that you trimmed off. And like I said before, you're going to pull the backing off the graphic, not the graphic off the backing. So once you've got it about halfway where you can hold it with your left hand or your non-dominant hand, just pinch it together and you can hold the backing with the graphic, and then we're going to fold this back over and pick up our squeegee. Doesn't matter if you touch the case or not. What I like to do is just make sure that there's a nice little loop here of the backing so it keeps it sort of off the case, and then you're going to start squeegeeing where that fine line is. And again, 30-degree angles, 2 inches at a time, single strokes. Make sure not to go over the corners at this time anyways. So when you get to that part where you have the backing still on, now if you're not really comfortable with having nothing to hold on to, then roll up the rest of the backing just like this, and that'll give you a straight edge to hold the rest of your film. And again, just keep it just off the case and continue squeegeeing it down. You get far enough, remove the rest. Again, like I said, the vinyl is not going to adhere right away, so you have time to lift it up and move it if need be. So we're just going to push that up to the binding. And now that we've gotten close to the binding, what we want to do is just peel it away from the binding itself. Okay, and now we're going to use the hard edge of our squeegee. Okay, we used the felt edge to do the major application. Now we're going to use the hard edge to do the finish work. So you're going to tuck that in as hard as possible into that binding area. Right, now that's going to give you a nice cut edge when we do the finish work on your graphic. So once we've done the first application lightly, it's a good idea just to go over it very hard to make sure that it's going to stick to the Tolex. Now Tolex itself is a rubberized vinyl, so it makes for a great surface to stick any graphic material to. Okay, now that you've installed the surface, we're going to start folding it over the edge. This is where you're going to need your heat gun and your X-Acto knife. Okay, now we're going to start folding over the edge. What you're going to do is just hold it lightly and use your thumb or your finger, and you're going to press that in just till it gets around the corner. Do that all the way down. When you get to the edge here, what you're going to want to do is make a relief cut. Now, you look at where your binding is. You just want to cut right above that binding. Now your graphic film will fold over properly. All right? Once you've got it around that edge, take your squeegee and you can start maneuvering your graphic down the case. Now once you hit a hinge or a latch, okay, this is where you're going to want to use the flat edge of your squeegee, the hard edge, and push that in as deep as possible till you cover the entire top of the hinge. And now we're going to make a couple of relief cuts. So we're going to find the edge, just right there. We're going to cut that off. We're going to do the same thing on the other edge. And we're going to continue to fold the graphic around the hinge. Now the material that we're using is the same material that we wrap vehicles with. Once you've got the graphic down in place, you're going to want to use a little bit of heat. Just go around the entire latch, but make sure that you're not focusing the heat on one spot at a time. Just keep going all around, and that's all the heat that you need. Then you're going to take your squeegee and you're just going to push in gently to make sure that you've gone around the entire hinge. And then that line will be your cut line. So you'll have a nice crease that you can run your knife blade over when we do your finish work.